So cool, welcome. My name is Rich Litvin, but if you didn't know that, you're probably in the wrong place. I'm the co-author of a book called The Prosperous Coach. I've been a coach for over 12 years now, professional coach. Background as a high school teacher. And about 6 or 7 years ago, I began to write a book with a friend of mine, a guy called Steve Chandler, called The Prosperous Coach. And The Prosperous Coach is a book that's really taken off in the world of coaching. We've sold over 50,000 copies, despite not doing anything to market it, because Steve and I are not marketers. We don't know how to do that stuff. We wrote a book for coaches, and coaches are people. And if you're a people person, then it's really fun to be able to business one person at a time, one conversation at a time. So I see you guys are joining us. Welcome. In a moment, I'm going to dive in. I've got tons of questions that you sent to us. We'll see if we can field any questions from you live today, but if not, I'll bring them into a future session. Or I'm actually doing a Facebook Live later on this afternoon, or this evening for some of you. So I may even be able to answer some of those later on today. So hi to everyone. I'm not going to check all your messages that are flashing up in front of me on the screen. I'm going to be talking live to the camera, and I'm going to be reading the questions here. And then Sarah will cut and paste some of your questions for me and let me know if there's anything I can answer on top of what I've got. So welcome. This is fun for me. I'll tell you why. When the team at Mindvalley approached me a few years ago, Mindvalley are one of the biggest companies in the personal growth world. They said, hey, Rich, will you partner with us and find a way to teach coaches the principles behind the prosperous coach? I said, I'd love to. That'd be really cool. You do the thing that I don't know how to do, which is get a message out to millions of people. And I get to do what I love to do, which is to coach and to teach. And the truth was I was terrified. Vishen Lakhiani, who runs Mindvalley, said, look, I would love you to do what all our teachers do, which is look into the camera and teach your great content. And I didn't want to tell him I was scared. So what I did was I made my weakness into a strength. I said, look, I'm not like all your other teachers. I won't teach the way that they do, which is to talk into the camera. I'm going to coach, which means I'll be facing this direction. I'll look over here sometimes to tell people stuff, but I'll be facing my client, whoever my client is, week after week after week. And I do something that most coaches don't really do online or live, and I'll record our coaching sessions. So he thought that was an amazing idea. And if you watch the early videos that I made for any of those Mindvalley products, you'll see I'm barely looking at the camera. Sometimes I'll say, hi, my name's Rich Litvin, and that's about it. And then I talk to this person over here and I coach them, which was really cool. We got great material for years now, me coaching live, but it came because I was afraid. And I tell that story because now it's fun. I can look into the camera and talk and teach. I've recorded products where for hours in a studio, I'm teaching to a camera, but it wasn't always like that. I was very, very scared when I began to look into a camera. So there's some context, something fun for you. All right, let's begin. Let's play. I'm going to look at the questions you've sent me. I'm going to go through as many as I can. First question from Basia. Apologies if I don't pronounce your names correctly. I'll do my best. Basia is a student coach, and she says, I understand the best way to learn the art of coaching is by coaching. However, is there a book you'd recommend to learn how to ask or structure powerful questions? Well, I wrote an article once, and I think the title was 121 Great Coaching Questions. If Sarah can find it, she'll post a link here now live, or we'll get it for you and send it later in an email. That's got some of the most powerful questions I could ever find, and I put them all together. And then a friend of mine, a man called Michael Bungay-Stanier, wrote a book that has 5 great coaching questions. Sometimes less is more. Now, his book, The Coaching Habit, is designed for people who work in the corporate world. It's actually designed to teach managers to bring in coaching skills without having to bring in coaches. It's a great, simple little book. It's a very small book, and it's got 5 awesome questions. So I'd start with those two. Go to my 121 and Michael's 5 in the coaching habit. All right. Demi asks a question. What are the top 3 to 5 things I can do or be to get my first $10,000 client? Well, I love that. I love that she catches being as well as doing. So for me, the only purpose of a goal is that it's a place to come from, not a place to get to. For most people, a goal is out there in the future. One day, fingers crossed, I hope, I wish I'll have a $10,000 client. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to start here. Now, who would I have to be in order for people to go, oh, of course I'd write you a check for $10,000. What would I have to do to be that person? I remember when I first said I was going to have a $20,000 client, and I spent a year saying that, speaking that out loud. What do you do? I coach. I have clients who pay me anything up to $20,000 a year. And we might get on a coaching call with somebody and say, what does it cost to work with you? I'd say it costs $20,000 for a year. And sometimes we do different things, different packages. It was a year of saying that. I think it was 11 months actually, before the first person said, okay, how do I pay you? Because by then I'd said it so many times, it rolled off my tongue like my phone number. This is who I am. I'm a $10,000 a year coach, or $20,000 a year, whatever it was at the time. And so she just felt it and she was ready. And on the inside, I was like, oh my God, she's going to send me this check. And on the outside, I had the presence of mind. I was already a $20,000 a year coach. So a goal is a place to come from, not a place to get to. Be that person now. Show up that way now. Talk that talk now. Oh, I've remembered something that Sarah told me. If you have a question, whatever you're going to post in the chat, because there's lots of you going to chat right now, add to the chat, put the letter Q, capital Q, in front of your post, and then Sarah will be able to capture your questions. So put a Q in front of your post. All right. Linda, who was one of my clients for a while, Linda says, what are the 3 most important steps to take when starting to write a book? I don't know. I never like to give anything in the form of steps, because then it seems like there's a system. There's never a system. You have to make stuff up. I remember once saying to Michael Neal, who's a prolific author, written so many books, so many articles. And I said, Michael, everyone tells me I'm supposed to write at the same time every day, or write 2 pages a day, or write for 30 minutes a day. And I don't write like that. I just write. Sometimes I just write for days on end. I wake up early, go to bed late, and I can't stop writing. And then I don't write for weeks at a time. And I remember him saying, oh yeah, me too. Oh, I didn't know. I thought you're supposed to do it a certain way. If I was going to say anything though, Linda, when starting to write a book, number 1, write without a filter. Don't write for an audience. If you write for an audience, you're editing before you've even begun, and you won't create the book that you really need to write. Number 1, write without a filter. Number 2, write the book that you wanted to read, that you needed to read. Not the book that you think will sell 1 million copies, not the book that you think will get out to thousands of people. Write the book that you need to write, and write it without a filter. I'll give you 2. All right. Karen says, working with my current clients is a high point of my day, but I haven't been creating, and I make the excuse that I'm burned out with family stuff. I've heard you guys say, treat it like a blue collar job. That's Steve Chandler's line, the blue collar work of coaching. Just put on your work clothes, get in the office and coach, get out there in the world and create clients. And she says, I haven't yet mustered my blue collar stick it to itness. Well, how do I guide you with that? I don't know what I can say to that really. It's like you either get that or you don't. You do the work is the title of a great book about writing. And you just have to do the work. I saw a great little cartoon the other day. And there's two little boxes in the cartoon strip. And this guy's sitting at his desk and there's a big cube on top of the desk. And the person next to him says, what's that? And then the next little box on the cartoon strip, he says, it's a writer's block. We make up these stories like I've got stuff going on in my life. I've got writer's block. If you find a mission that's important enough to you, nothing will stop you. So find something that is important enough to you that you can say to family, I need 30 minutes a day. I'm taking an hour a day. I'm doing this no matter what. Okay. Let's go to the next question. What's your process and what do you communicate to your clients when you raise your coaching fee? I think sometimes when I'm raising my fees, it's a matter of just the first sale is always to yourself. It's always to yourself. And when I'm at a place where I feel that it's time to raise my fee, not because someone says I should, not because I'm comparing myself, but I feel that it's time. I'll sometimes say to current clients, the fees are going up. I'll sometimes grandfather them in and say, hey, the fees are going up in a couple of months. And because you've been a great client for so many years, for the next 6 months or the next 12 months, we'll keep your fee the same. And we won't raise the fee for you. And sometimes for some clients who I love, or there's a reason I want to, I'll say, hey, fees are going up. They don't change for you. So it really depends, but owning it from the inside out, believing in it, being sold in it yourself, why the fees are going up. Remember a few years ago, I was raising my fees. I was doing a group coaching program. One of the members of my group wanted to coach me one-on-one. And I mentioned to the group that my one-on-one fees had gone up. And she said to me, oh, Rich, I was about to sign up with you as a one-on-one client. Is there any way you can go back to the previous fees? Because now it's too much for me. And I stopped her and I said, hey, look into my eyes for a second and be honest. Are you telling me that if my fees had been the fee they were a few months ago, that you'd have said, yay, Rich, this is an amazing fee. I can't wait to work with you. Or would it still have been a stretch? And she laughed and said, yeah, it would have been a stretch. I said, so that's irrelevant. And what I'm modeling for you is that sometimes fees go up. Sometimes the iPhone charge goes up. If you want something enough, you decide you're ready to invest in it. Nick says, Rich, can you talk about defining your niche and ideal client as a coach? What telltale signs should I look for? What does Steve Chandler say? Let your niche find you. I like to put it this way. Most people describe their niche as a demographic. I work with women in transition. I work with men who are building a business. I work with people who have a $1 million business that's scaling to a $10 million business. And that's a demographic. It's okay, you can play that way. I'm more interested in a psychographic. Mindsets. I'm interested in the mindsets. What are the mindsets of my dream clients? Because when I speak the mindsets of my dream clients out loud, my clients go, wow, he's talking to me. I want to get inside their head and speak of the thoughts that they thought nobody knows. So I work with a lot of really high performers. And one of the voices in the head I've noticed in high performers is that they have this thought that sounds something like this. Everyone around me is acknowledging me for how amazing I am and all the results I'm creating in the world. But on the inside, I feel lazy. I don't think I'm doing very much. And if you're listening right now, have that one going on, then you're one of my people. All right, so I just saw that, oh my God, this is me, just flashed up. And nobody says that out in the world. I've listened to the thinking going on behind the veil of the minds of my dream clients. Those are my people. And you know why they're my people? Because that's me. That's how I know the voice is going on in the head of my dream clients. I'm bored. I could do this with my eyes closed. I coach someone who runs the top chain of fertility clinics on the East Coast. Amazing business. They said to me, Rich, I can't say this out loud, but I'm bored. I can do this with my eyes closed. I coached a woman who has a $30 million business. She's only in her early 30s. She started in her 20s. She said, I can't tell anyone this, Rich, but I'm bored. I can do this with my eyes closed. Listen to what the thinking is going on in the minds of your dream clients. So you want a clue to what that is. What are the fears, doubts, insecurities that you have? Speak that out and your people will go, oh my God, he's talking to me. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. What are my top 3 coaching questions? The reason I can't answer that question is I get present to who you are when I'm coaching you. So the coaching question I need is going to be present in you. Now, if you asked me a few years ago what my top 3 coaching questions, I can answer that a little bit better. Because when I began coaching, and it's okay when you begin coaching to model others. I had a list of great questions. I mentioned that article of mine, 121 great coaching questions. Pull that out. Have 2 or 3 of those, have 5 of those ready that you know you're going to ask your clients. These days, I always have one question I'll start with, and it's something like this. It can be simple. What do you want? Or what do you want to create? It can be a future-based question. If you and I were going to work together, and because of the time we spend coaching, whether it's an hour today or 6 months together, in 3 years' time, you call me up and you say, oh my God, Rich, my life is amazing. My professional life and my personal life are incredible. What would you be telling me? Tell me about your life. But I have them go into the future. I say, imagine you're phoning me right now and it's the year 2021. 3 years have already gone by. It's not, I wish this would happen. It's, this has happened and you're looking back and telling me about it. That gets them into the future. And then we've got somewhere powerful to go. What's the most significant shift you've had in your practice in the last few years? Asked Louisa. For me personally, it's going from having a practice with a few clients to building a business. So I'm doing something that's different these days. You don't have to, I've worked with lots of coaches, helped lots of coaches build a practice with a few high-performing, high-fee clients, and that's it. And they make tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some of them even make 7 figures just with a practice with a few clients or some group coaching. For me, it was scaling a business. We put on big events. We have 150 people at a time at our events. We have 30 people on my team taking care of you at our events. We've got an event coming up in October, in a few days' time, the 4th of October, a 4-day intensive where we train coaches, some of the best professional development on the planet for coaches. How to build your coaching skills, how to build your skills in creating clients, how to ask powerful questions, and being in an amazing community of coaches. I think we've only got 15 tickets left. And next Friday, the 28th, is when we close the doors. We won't sell any more tickets after that. 21st, we won't sell any more tickets after that. So if you want, I see somebody just said they're going. Can't wait to see you there. Is that Polly? So 15 tickets left. If you want to get a ticket, go to richlitvin.com/intensive, because we've sold out. I would like to say every single intensive, but there was one when I really upped the game on the kind of clients that we work with, and we didn't sell out. But other than that, every single intensive, 2 to 3 a year for 4, 5, 6, 7 years now, has sold out. So we're likely to sell out by next week. All right, let's go back to the questions. What are your thoughts around requesting that a person complete a simple questionnaire as part of their sign-up process? I love that. For me, that's a filter. Whether it's a questionnaire, whether it's 3 questions you give them, whether you ask them to text you back an answer, it's great. It's a filter. I do it a lot. I've done it for years as I've grown my business. If you reach out to anyone on my team, if you reach out to Laura or you write to our hello@richlitvin.com address and you ask a question, we're going to ask you a question back. We've got tons of resources we could send you. But I know we live in a world where people are overwhelmed with information. I don't want to send you more information. I want to see if you're the kind of people we want to work with. So we'll send you back, hey, watch this, and then come back to us with a question. I'm telling you now, 90% of the people, when we send them an activity to do, we never hear from again. But the ones who reply are the ones who are interesting to us. And then you do something like you'll say, here's an insight I got from watching this video. I read the article, here's a thought. And you'll come back, that person will come back to us. We give them another challenge, another question to answer. 90% of them won't respond. But the ones who do are our people. So I love having a filter. Rich, how do you deal with people who bring their egos to a session? Do you ask them to leave it at the door? I don't know, Teresa, that's too vague a question for me. I'm always challenging my clients and playing with clients. And sometimes once in a while, I'll say to somebody, let me put it this way. I'll be specific. If I have someone who isn't coachable, if I have someone who isn't able to answer my questions or play, I'll pause and I'll stop. Hey, I'm noticing that this feels a little bit uncomfortable. You don't seem to want to answer the questions, or you've got a ready answer to all the questions. What do you make of that? That's a fun way. Instead of me challenging them directly, what do you make of that? That's unusual for me. What do you make of that? and I'll play with them. But I'm not afraid. I had a potential client once. She got on a call with me, showed up 20 minutes late, and we started coaching. And I really wanted to work with her. I forget, there was something about her that was amazing. I really wanted to have her as a client. But I stopped her and said, hey, you're 20 minutes late. Now, you don't feel bad or wrong about that. I was here anyway. I was doing some extra work, but I could miss that, or I could talk to you about that. Where else does that happen in your life? I asked her. Where else do you show up late to something you say you're committed to? And we had the most powerful coaching conversation because she said, Rich, no one ever challenges me like that. All right. I saw somebody say, you coming to England. Some of your messages flash up. Not in the next 12 to 18 months for an intensive, but we're likely to bring a deep dive. That's when I take 10 people and I do an intimate deep coaching session for 3 days with 10 people. Stay on our list, watch out for that. That's coming to London in the next 12 months. Haven't got a date yet, but we won't be doing a public intensive. You want to come and spend time with our big community, you want to really immerse yourself in the Prosperous Coach approach, then come. Manjeet, a deep dive is coming to London. I saw your little message. Then come to the intensive in a couple of weeks here in LA. All right. Andoni says, I live in Sri Lanka. There's no way to connect with my ideal clients face to face. I love your approach, but applying it online, Rich, is really hard. I reached out to over 300 people telling them about the research I'm doing for my book and asking for a 20-minute call. So the clue's in his question. If he's saying I reached out to over 300 people, I'm not with him, so I can't ask specifically, but my sense is because of the way it's worded. What Manjeet didn't do, what Andoni didn't do, was to reach out one person at a time. If you send a blanket email to 300 people, we're overwhelmed by email these days. And so it's no surprise to me that people aren't responding. Online, you can do the same approach these days as you do one-on-one. Reach out to people, say, how's it going? Get curious about them. If someone is interesting to you on Facebook, send them a message. Hey, Fred. But be specific, not, hey, do you want a coaching conversation? Hey, Fred, build a relationship. Hey, Fred, I saw that article you posted, looked really interesting. I went to your LinkedIn page. I saw you've been up to something interesting there. I saw you've written a book. I read chapter 1 and this is what stood out to me. Get really personal when you connect with someone, and don't be afraid to follow up more than once. The framework behind the Prosperous Coach has 4 pieces to it. Connect, invite, create, propose. The first piece is connect, only connect. It's not reach out to somebody to connect with them in order to get them to be a client. It's connect. Mickey says, I want to work with high performers who impact the planet and influence wide swathes of people and pay a lot of money for powerful coaching services. In the current circumstances, I don't seem to have any connections with any. And as a relative newbie professionally, I don't have a large body of work that might provide professional street cred for me. How do I go about creating those clients? Well, it's in your answer, Mickey. I've got a client right now whose business is being sold for $1 billion. I've got a client I was speaking to yesterday who's raising $100 million to change the future of work. I've got a client who's a former Navy SEAL. I've got a client who's the former chief marketing officer of Harley Davidson. I couldn't have had those clients 12 years ago. Body of work? I didn't have a body of work 12 years ago. 15 years ago, I was a high school teacher, Mickey. The best time in life to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time in life to plant a tree is today. So if you want to work with high performers who impact the planet and influence wide swathes of people, but you don't have any connections with them, and you're a new coach, go out there and coach your ass off, Mickey. Go out and work hard as a coach. Do the work. Serve people, whoever they are. The person in front of you, serve them so powerfully. They talk about you to others, and then serve the next one and serve the next one. You want to make a body of work? Start writing. There's a great book by the name escapes me, called Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. And in Show Your Work, he says, put it out there. Don't stop. Every writer hates their first 50 articles or posts. Start writing. Kate says, what are the essentials of group coaching before organizing a group and then running a group? For me, Kate, how I run a group is how I do one-on-one coaching. When you're in my group, I'm coaching you. When you're in Giovanna's coaching salon, where she's teaching you the principles behind the Prosperous Coach approach, we are coaching you one-on-one. We're saying, what's up? What can I coach you on? What's your biggest challenge? And we coach you, and other people get to watch. And if you're a witness to that, you're being coached anyway. That's how I love to run a group. So I run a deep dive, 3 days, coaching, coaching, coaching. You're either being coached or you're a witness to powerful coaching. Let me see what else I've got. Cameron says, what do you do to continue momentum? I don't believe in continuing momentum. You know what? Sometimes I have energy and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm tired and sometimes I'm full of life. Sometimes I do the work. I get up and I coach somebody no matter what. And sometimes I got to take time off for me. Get clear on what you need. If you're building a business and it's the early days, you got to put in the work. You got to put in the time no matter what. There's no two ways about it. Find the effortless path. I love this distinction between effortless and easy. I'm not looking for the easy path, but I'm looking for the one that's effortless, the one that energizes me. If you want to continue momentum, here's what I'd say. Cameron, I'll give you a tool. It's an energy audit. In my house, I get a letter once a quarter from the energy company, the electricity, the water company, saying, hey, look, you could be wasting energy here. Put double glazing on your windows. Turn off the air conditioner when you don't need it. Turn off the fans when you're out of the room. They give me tips and ideas to save energy. We don't do that for ourselves. So grab a piece of paper right now, all of you, put a line down the center, and the title of the left-hand column is What Energizes Me? And the title of the right-hand column is What Drains Me? What energizes me and what drains me? And then make a list of all the people, the places, the habits, the thoughts that you have. People, places, habits, and thoughts that drain you of energy. And the people, places, and habits and thoughts, the thinking that energizes you. And then gradually your missions, great tool with a client. You spend your entire life working with a client on just this one tool. Help them one at a time remove the energy drainers from their list. Do that for yourself. Okay, let's see where we are now. Jennifer says, how did you discover at least one fear factor in your life? There are parts of you, these are parts of you that are scared because you haven't tried something. For example, I've never done yoga in my life, and then I started doing yoga. How do you do it? Oh, I have something I call a what scares you list. A what scares you list was first given to me as an idea by my friend Sean Stevenson. That's it. It's real simple. Make a list of everything that scares you. You see, I have a belief that fear is a mask for desire. Fear is a mask for desire. And so make a list of all the things you're afraid of. And I don't mean spiders or heights. I mean, what are you afraid of? I was afraid of boxing. And I always secretly wanted to box, but I was terrified. I told Wendy on my team, and Wendy's one main job is to help me do the things that I'm afraid of. And I told her I'm afraid of boxing. It's on my what scares you list. She texted me the next morning and said, tomorrow you've got your first boxing class. And I've now been boxing for 1.5 years. I used to be afraid of it. I'm seeing some people posting messages here. Are we coming to the East Coast? We're going to do a deep dive in Toronto next year, a mini coaching experience with 10 people. Watch this space. We'll put that out there, but not an intensive. The only intensive we're doing is the one here in October, richlitvin.com/intensive. Okay. And someone, did I see Henry saying, am I coming to Bali with Mind Valley? Not right now. We've just been traveling to Estonia for a month. We're about to go to Spain for 10 days for my brother's wedding. And then we're traveled out, probably Hawaii at the end of the year, and that's it. Let me see. How do I continue to move forward with my business when it seems like I'm living in the land of no and not getting many yeses? This is a paradox, right? There's a line in our book, it's a Steve Chandler line. Yes lives in the land of no. If you want to have more yeses, you've got to go and seek out more no's. I said at the beginning of this call, I got my first $20,000 client after 1 year of no's, 11 months of no's for a $20,000 engagement. And there's a moment, if you're getting too many no's and you're not getting any clients, when something has to shift. Maybe you're not coaching your clients powerfully enough that anyone's ever going to say yes. Maybe you're asking for too much money and you don't have the first sale. You're not really bought into this yourself. You don't believe in the power of coaching. Maybe you've never invested that much money yourself. So you can feel it. When they get scared about it, you get scared too. I've invested hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in my coaches over the years. So when people say, oh, that's expensive to work with me, I smile, because I paid far more money than any one client has ever paid me. And being a professional coach, here's the edgy one. Being a professional coach is not for everyone. Anyone can be a great coach. Michael Neal calls it the lamppost effect. If you got to a lamppost once a week and said, hey, here are my dreams for the week ahead, and you went back to the lamppost a week later and said, hey, this is what I did to move towards my dreams, and this is what I didn't, and these are my dreams for next week. You went back every week for a year, your life would transform. You don't need to do much as a coach. Just listen. Say nothing. Say what else. Say what would you love to create. A handful of questions, you'd be a great coach. But that's being a great coach. Being a professional coach, where you make a living out of coaching, it's not for everyone. The framework to do so is in the book, The Prosperous Coach. But if it's not working for you and it doesn't work for everybody, then it may not be the right career. And I've encouraged a number of coaches over the years to leave the idea of being a professional coach. Be a part-time coach, or be a personal growth coach where you love to learn about coaching. You come to our events, you come to other people's events, you love personal growth, but you use it as a manager in the team that you manage. Use it in the business that you're running. Use it with your clients and your customers. You let go of the idea of being a professional coach. That's edgy, but it's important to be said. Being a professional coach is not for everybody. What would you say to a client who asked, why would I want you as a coach? If someone said that to me, I'd say, oh, well, you tell me. I don't know. I'm not the right coach for everybody. I'm not the right coach for many people. Why are you even asking me that question? If they're there with you asking that question, you've got a little clue they're interested somehow. I'd play with it. Why would I want you as a coach? You know what? That's not a valuable question to ask. How's that going to serve you, me telling you why you would want me as a coach? Let's get to a more interesting question. How about, what's your biggest dream and what's your biggest fear and what's holding you back from making that big dream happen? Is that an interesting question for you? That's a question I like, and I'd play with them and mess with them. Okay. Do you believe a people-oriented high achiever can become a prosperous coach through intense self-training, reading, watching coaching, getting coached, and no official certification? Well, I never stop learning. I never stop training. I'm always in workshops and trainings with other people. I always have at least one coach. There's an article I wrote last year about the 11 different coaches I had in 2017. So I never stop. And I don't have a certification. A certification is a piece of paper you could put on the wall to say, hey, I trained with so-and-so. And nobody cares. That doesn't mean I haven't trained with lots of people. I just don't need a piece of paper to prove it. No one has ever asked me. No client has ever asked me to see a piece of paper. They sit down with me. They spend time with me. They get curious. They say, can you help me? And if I can, they say, what does it look like to work together? They never say, where's the piece of paper that proves you can do this? If I have shown them. The most important principle behind the prosperous coach approach is sell the experience, not the concept of coaching. Sell the experience, not the concept of coaching. Forget about the certification. Serve people powerfully. How do you be a highly credible coach when you're much younger with much less of a track record than your clients? Find the people who want to work with you. Don't worry about being credible to everyone. Be credible to your people. If you're on your 20-something, you're a 20-something, maybe there are 20-somethings who want to learn from you. If you're a 20-something, read the book Rookie Smarts. Fantastic book about this concept that as a newbie in any field, you're willing to make the mistakes that the experienced people are not. As a newbie in any field, you're willing to screw up in a way that experienced people are not. I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I was a high school teacher for 15, 16 years, and then I became a coach, and then I became a business owner. So I don't know the things that you're supposed to do to grow a business. I grew a business plan, still do, grew a business For years, I have a 7-figure business with a 1-line business plan. Meet fun and interesting people. I was telling a very successful business owner that the other day, and he said, thank God nobody taught you you're supposed to create a real business plan, because that works for me. I'm not saying take on that business plan for you, find your own. But if you're in your 20s, if you're a lot younger than people, then make that your gift. Make your weaknesses your strengths. Is a beautiful way to approach life. Okay. Let's see. Rich, how do you deal with difficult coaching clients? First thing that comes to me is filter them out. Let them know, like, hey, if you're not interested in coaching, and this is what coaching needs. A coaching needs someone who is willing to play the game. A coaching needs someone who can be coachable. Coaching is a 200% relationship, I tell people. Most people think like all relationships, people approach 50-50, romantic relationships too. You do your bit and then I'll do my bit. You're not doing your bit, why should I do my bit? Relationships are 100%, 100%. I will play full out as your coach. I will coach you powerfully. I will challenge you. I will not hold back. I will look for the things that nobody else can see, and I will say the things that nobody else would dare to say. That's what I'm going to bring fully as your coach. Here's what I require of you. Here's what I require of you. 6 words that will change the game and will filter out difficult clients. Here's what I require of you. I require of you that you are willing to do some deep reflection. Here's what I require of you, that you're willing to pause and listen before jumping in and saying, I know that, I've got this, I understand it. I require of you that you're willing to take on challenges that I give you. You can always say no ultimately, but you pause and check in first before you say no. Decide what they are, and then you'll filter out the difficult clients. Okay, let's see what else we got. Someone here who lives in the Netherlands, works part-time, 2 days in other work. I'd like to start coaching. I'm certified, been doing it, so on and so on. 7 years of experience. Now's the time to get started. I'm ready. And my question is, how do I start creating clients? Where do I begin? There's a book called The Prosperous Coach Approach. And there's a reason that that book, 5 years after it came out, is still selling 1,000 copies a month. And Steve and I do nothing to market it. We sometimes talk about it on our Facebook pages. Both have an email where we write about stuff sometimes. We do no paid marketing out in the world. And that book still sells by word of mouth because it works. Because coaches know that when they apply the 4 parts to that framework, connect, invite, create, propose, their business grows. Start there. Rich Snowden says, when do you surprise yourself with what you say to a client? When do you surprise yourself with what you say to a client? Every time. If you come to one of my intensives, one of the things I do is I coach live on stage a lot. And as I'm coaching, I put my mind on, I take off the filters and I will turn to the audience and I will tell them, I don't know why I paused just then. Or I'll tell you what happened. I saw his breathing get slow. And that's why I changed the question in midstream. Or do you see that they leaned back in their chair? When they did that, I felt myself relax. And so I'll literally, in real time at an intensive, take you through what I'm doing, to deconstruct the coaching so you can see what's going on in real time. Okay, let's see. Rhonda says, recently I had a local, I hope you guys are doing okay. I'm on a roll here. Thanks for all the questions you're sending in live. I'm looking at all the questions on my list here too. So let's do this one. Rhonda. Okay, Raymond, thank you. Yeah, great. Someone says you sold me your book. Diana says, I love it. Thank you. Okay, cool. I'm looking at your stuff live now. So this is great. Alex says, I'm a beginner. I'm curious how I can develop my listening skills so I can be more present. Yeah, I've got a real simple one for you there. My wife's 96-year-old grandma, 3 years ago before she passed away, I said to her, what's the one piece of advice you'd give to youngsters today? She didn't hesitate. She said, listen has the same letters precisely as the word silent. Alex, you want to practice your listening skills? Ask a question, and then here's all of you, do this right now as you're watching. I promise you this will be fun. Every one of you, poke out your tongue. Come on, I know you're shy, but I can't see you. Poke out your tongue. Do that. Hold it between your fingers and hold it while I'm talking. So poke out your tongue and do that. Hold your tongue. And notice what happens as you hold your tongue. Your thoughts literally slow down. Keep holding it. I know it feels silly. Your mind goes still. You see, even when you're silent, as you're thinking, your tongue is making micro movements in your mouth. So when you hold your tongue, your thinking slows down. Now, it'd be a bit silly to do that in front of a client, so you can let go of your tongue right now. But press your tongue, the tip of your tongue, to the roof of your mouth, just behind your teeth. And the same thing happens. Practice doing that if you really want to get good at listening to a client. Terence says, how do I get high-paying clients? My question to that is always, what's a high-paying client? I have $100,000 clients. One of my previous coaches, Steve Hardizan, has $150,000 clients. Tony Robbins has $1 million clients. So compared to some people, I have low-paying clients. I never use the phrase high-paying clients on its own. If you look carefully, I always say something like high-performing, high-fee clients. I'm talking about the caliber of people, the kind of people who are up to something big in the world. When you're up to something big enough, that investing that much in yourself is a no-brainer to them. So stop thinking about how do I get high-paying clients and think about what that means to you and the impact those people are having in the world. It will shift the energy on that. And day 4 of our intensive in October, so what was that, 4th, 5th, 6th, the 7th of October here in LA, we do a day on enrolling high-performing, high-fee clients. And I bring along some of my high-performing clients to be on stage and talk to you about that experience. All right, let's see where we're going to go next. All right, let me see some of the questions you guys have been sending in live, because those are some of the questions we got from, we asked you in advance. Here are some of the ones that Sarah's pulled out for me that we can talk to now. Trish says, I've been only actively coaching for a month. Do you think it's too soon to ask a client for a $12,000 fee? Trish, that's up to you. You've got to play this game that you want to play it. They're not paying for the time you've been coaching. They're paying for your years of experience. It's like that beautiful little story where a woman is in a cafe sitting next to Picasso and says, hey, you're Picasso. Will you draw me a sketch? And on the back of a napkin, he draws a little Picasso sketch in 20 seconds. And she says, can I have it? He says, sure, that'll be $10,000. And she says, what are you talking about? It took you 10 seconds to draw. And he says, madam, that took me an entire lifetime to draw. Trish, I've got a client who transitioned into coaching, and she said her goal was to make $80,000 in her first month as a coach. And I said, well, you know, I've got a little bit of experience in this field. That might be a little bit ambitious for your very first month as a coach. And she challenged me. She provoked me. She said, Rich, you're the person who teaches people to take on impossible goals. I'm okay with this. This is my goal. I'm in. And I said, you know what? You're right. And an impossible goal is a place to come from, not a place to get to. So it wasn't fingers crossed every day, am I going to make 80 grand? It's like, who would I have to be to an $80,000 coach? And I helped her. Now she has a background. She's an Air Force veteran. She worked in the technology field, and she's built businesses, helped people build $1 million businesses. She called me on the last day of that month, said, Rich, I didn't hit my goal. I only made $79,000 this month. So Trish, you get to play any way you play. If you want to charge $12,000 for your first client, play that game. Are you sold it? Do you really believe in that enough that the track record you have before coaching that leads into this has you be solid enough that you can really serve people? You can charge 12 grand, you can charge 20 grand, you can charge more if you choose. Or you can charge less. You get to play. Manjeet says, how many no's did you get before your first $20,000 client? I don't know now, Manjeet, that was years and years ago. But I got no after no after no. And then I got creative. What does it cost to work with you, Rich? Here I am, newish coach. It costs $20,000 a year to work with me. Oh my God, I'd like to work with you, Rich, but I haven't got 20 grand. Okay, Manjeet, here's what I do. When I meet someone I'd like to work with, and the only thing between us is the fee, I get creative. So let me check in. Are you in? Are you interested in working with me? Because if you are, then we can get creative. Maybe there's ways that we can create something, an agreement that is a shorter time or has less coaching sessions or shorter time for coaching sessions. Would that be of interest to you? And if they say yes, then we got an interesting conversation. So it wasn't like I had no clients for those 11 months as I decided I was going to have a $20,000 client. I got creative. Julia says, what's your process to discover and put on paper what your dream clients look like? Julia, we have a tool called the 3x3 tool. It's a really powerful tool, but I can't teach it to you right now. We might do a separate webinar on it because it's very powerful to do live. There's an older version of that tool called the 6 boxes. So if you go to richlitvin.com/6 boxes, the number 6 and the word boxes, you'll find a video of me teaching this and some information about that. And you can use that. If you're coming to the intensive, we're taking that the next level. We've made it a much more powerful tool, and it's now called the 3x3 tool. And we'll take you through that to teach you how to identify your dream clients, their doubts, their insecurities, their fears, their dreams, what's going on in their head. And that's what's really key to enroll dream clients. Annabelle says, how do you encourage a client to re-up at the end of a coaching contract when they've realized their goal? I do it this way, Annabelle. I treat the final session of a coaching agreement like the initial session of a coaching experience. Hey, we're about to finish our coaching together. Sometimes I'll do it as the penultimate one. So there's a bit of time for us before the final one. Hey, we're almost finished. We finish in a week or so's time. Let's do a review. In the coaching session this week, I want you to look back and over the 3 months, 6 months, 12 months we've been working together, what have you accomplished? What have you achieved? What have you ticked off your list? What's been great about it? And then tell me too, what have you not accomplished yet? What's still on your list? Where are you struggling? Where do you still have doubts and insecurities? And I'll go through that. I'll spend time with them reflecting on what they've got. Sometimes you have to help a client to see what's amazing. The trouble with coaching is that they have amazing results. And if you're a really good coach, they don't even see that was because of your coaching. And then there's a gift and a challenge in that, right? So get them to reflect back. And then they'll see, wow, look at all the things I've accomplished in our time together. And then I'll say, okay, well, let's pause on that. And now let's look into the future. And I'll treat it like an initial session. What would you love to create next? In the 12 months ahead? If we were going to meet again in a year's time, what would make that year amazing? What would you love to accomplish? What are your goals? And what are the fears and doubts and insecurities getting in your way? And then once they put all their dreams out there, either sometimes they say to me, hey, I'd love to do some more work with you because that sounds amazing. Like, can you help me with this? And sometimes if I'm inspired, I'll say, hey, we're finishing our coaching agreement, but would you be interested to extend it if we're going to work on those goals? And then you've got to get a place to play. Okay, let's see what else we got. Raymond's asking about how do you grow and expand a business that creates growth through meaning and mission, looking to scale this as I'm filling my schedule as we speak. Well, Raymond, there's so many nuances behind that. I don't know if you mean you want to scale as in one way to scale is to have other coaches coaching for you. One of my favorite clients from years ago, a woman called Kelly, used to work in the TV industry. And she began to take on clients, some of the top TV networks in the country. And she has 4 children, and there came a moment she was overwhelmed and couldn't take on any more coaching clients. So we worked out a way for her to take on a coach to deliver for her. And now she has 3 coaches who deliver for her. So she will enroll the clients, and then these other coaches will deliver. That's a lovely way to scale a business. Another way is to do events or group coaching. And so there's lots of different ways to play that game. Raymond, we'd have to sit down to get more information in that. Stephanie, as someone who identifies as an introvert, any processes or rituals you develop to be comfortable with being seen? I'm an introvert. And what introvert means is that I'm not shy. I get drained by being around a lot of people. So Steve's an introvert too. The Prosperous Coach is a book written by two introverts, by two people who get drained being married, or we have to like recover our energy. If I go to a party with my wife, I could spend the next 5 days at home watching Netflix after the party's over, and she'll spend the next 5 days wanting to go to other parties, if not going to them. Because she's an extrovert, she gets energized by being around people. Doesn't mean extroverts don't need to take quiet time too. So being seen, well, the thing about being an introvert is I'm okay being seen like this, and I'm okay being on stage at the front of the room, and I'm okay being in the rest room at the back of the room. I'm just not comfortable in the middle of the room making small talk. So that isn't, I know rituals there. I just learned to be okay with me. Hi, Chizzy. I'm a huge introvert. My recharging is spending time alone for days at a time. Me too, totally. Okay, how do you position yourself as an expert coach right off the bat if you've just begun? Well, don't try and do that, Alessandra. Don't position yourself as an expert coach if you've just begun coaching. You're not an expert coach, but you are an expert in everything you've done in the past. Everything you've done is your expertise. So I learned to be an expert in language, in listening deeply to people, in hearing the way that they speak and being very careful and clear in my communication. Because 20 years ago, I spent 2 years teaching in Botswana, in Southern Africa. I was teaching science to kids who were learning it in their third language. They spoke Ikalanga, their tribal language, Setswana, their national language, and I was teaching science in their third language. I had to realize that I'm from London, we have double-decker buses. My kids hadn't even seen a house with 2 stories. That, from 20 years ago, is part of my expertise as a coach, because I've got really clear in my communication. I've got really clear in my listening. Shelley, I just saw you wrote, I made more money in the last 4 or 5 months since the last intensive than I earned in any year prior. I love it. I love hearing that. That's what happens when people come and spend time at our intensives. So I'll say it one more time. We got 15 tickets left. If any haven't sold out already on this webinar, we've got 15 tickets left. We close the doors next week, or we sell out first. And then in a few days' time, on the 4th, we do this stuff live. Me coaching. Giovanna, who's an expert in teaching the Prosperous Coach approach, doing the same thing. If you're an introvert, you got an introvert who built an event around the fact that it can be scary for me to walk into a room of 150 people. So what I do is the moment you walk in, you have a member of my team who puts you in a small group with them. And there are 10 of you where you get coached and you grow together in those 4 days. We've had people who met at an intensive 5, 6, 7 years ago and are still close friends to this day. All right. What scares you the most when you are coaching? Says Manjeet. You're asking a lot of questions, Manjeet. Good question. What scares me the most? I don't know, but when I'm scared, I say it. I make that my practice. Hey, when you said that thing just now, I got nervous to ask you about it. And I have a practice of always doing the thing that scares me. So I'm going to ask you the question. I'll do something like that makes it real. I'll feel it and I'll express it in that moment. What's this? Kat says, if you're on the fence for the intensive, jump in now. I went last year and signed up that day for this year. Always so much to glean from who you're being as a coach and how you connect. See you all there. I'll see you there, Kat. That's awesome. Oh, it's Kathy, I think. Kathy, yeah. Beautiful. Let me see what other questions we got. I hope you guys are doing okay. It feels so fast paced. I got 5 minutes. I'll see what else I can do in the next 5 minutes. How do you create individual pricing for each client? How do you determine your cost, says Chad. Well, I tend to make stuff up. Like I made up years ago. I want to have $20,000 a year clients. Now I have $100,000 a year clients. I made that up a couple of years ago, and now I have $100,000 a year clients. I made up a few years back, I have $1 million clients. Hasn't happened yet, but I believe in the power of generative language. So I speak that, and it's on its way. And Steve Chandler has always been a master of making up what's just right for the person in front of him. Remember years ago, people would chat to me and Steve when they read the book, and they'd come to me and say, hey, Rich, I wanted to work with you, but I decided to go with Steve. And I'd find out that I'd said it's 20 grand to work with me for a year. And Steve would say, you know what, you only need 5 sessions over 7.5 months, or you need 2 sessions over the next 2 months. and we'll do some email work as well. And they'd sign up with him and they'd love it. And they'd sign up again and they'd love it and they'd sign up again. And they'd spend more than 20 grand in that year. And me with my nice big fee was turning people away. So you really get to make this stuff up. It's really fun. How long as Chris, would you typically serve someone through one-on-one coaching before proposing? Can't tell you. I served a client earlier this year, a hedge fund manager. We met for 2 hours. I really served him powerfully. And then it felt like it wasn't right yet. So I said, should we want to do some more work? He said, I'd love it. We arranged a second meeting. We met up again, spent 2 more hours with him. And then he asked about working with me and I didn't feel right. I said, you know what? You've got some big stuff going on in your life. Go and handle that and we'll meet again. We met again. I spent 6 hours now I spent with him and it still wasn't quite right. I don't feel bad about that. You learn, you get paid in other ways than just money. You get paid in experiences. You get paid in testimonials. You get paid in learnings and insights. And there are other times when I get on a call and 30 minutes in, I'll say, you know what? And I'll look him in the eyes and say, you know what? We should work together. Or you know what? You should come to my deep dive. Spend 3 days coaching with me, and then we'll see if we need more time together. No, there's no magic answers for many of these questions, which is why at the intensive, at the salon, where I'm helping a coach as an apprentice one-on-one, I don't teach theory. It's very real. Oh, you just spoke to somebody. What did you say? What did they say? How did you reply? What did you say then? And we break it down, game review, one step at a time. Cool. Oh, Stephen, I see you bought your ticket. I'll see you there too. Great. Stephen says, can I volunteer at the intensive? Would love to help out. You know what? Here's the thing about our intensive, Stephen. We have a team of 30 people who volunteer their time, their energy. They give up work to be there, to go away from their family to be there. And they have been meeting for months to prepare for October's intensive. They've been meeting for months. They get coached by the leaders of our teams. They do really deep work. They've been working for months. If you want to be on one of our teams, the distinction we have is we say it's a $10,000 leadership training to be on those teams. That's the equivalent of the training we're putting in for them. So you've got to come to our intensives, show up powerfully, and come and speak to one of us. If that's something you want to do, then maybe down the road. My weakness, says Lurker, is stepping into overwhelm. How do I create a clear structure and system for creating clients? Read The Prosperous Coach, go to the appendix, follow the steps in the appendix, one step at a time to create clients. Carlos says, I've read The Prosperous Coach 2 times. I'm struggling with the invite. If I reach some people I know who are already high performers and offer a pro bono session, will this open the door to get clients? Yeah. Connect, invite, create, propose. The invite is the one that's the most edgy. Thank you, Trish. I'm keeping a little eye on that thread and I'll be finished in about 60 seconds. Connect, invite, create, propose. The invitation is hard because the invitation is actually a sale. There are 5 sales in coaching. I'll finish with this. This is a really powerful distinction. There are 5 sales in coaching. Most people think there's one. Would you like to coach with me? It's $10,000, yes or no. That's only one of these 5 sales. Sale number 1 is to yourself. Are you sold on coaching? Do you believe in this thing called coaching enough that you are sold on it, that you've invested in your own coaching, that you've invested in your own professional development? If you're sold on that, that's the first sale. Always comes first, really important. Sale number 2 is the invitation. In this day and age, everything is competing for our time. Our iPhone, our Facebook, Gmail, whatever it is, for somebody to say, you know what, I'm willing to give 2 hours to sit down in a cafe with you and talk about my life, that's a sale. So sometimes, I wrote The Prosperous Coach, remember 6-7 years ago when I started writing it, the world has changed fast. Sometimes I won't say, let's sit down for 2 hours. Sometimes I'll say, let's jump on a call for 10 minutes. Let's have a chat. Let's get to know one another. Sometimes I'll say, let's just talk. I'm not going to coach you. Who even knows if you need coaching? Let's just talk for a minute. Sometimes I'll make an invitation with a sense of fun. Like, hey, like you and I should sit down and what you're up to and what I do, that's such a beautiful fit. And once a month, I block out time for a pro bono conversation. I don't charge people for this. Would you like me to offer you one of those slots? Next month's booked, and so is the month after, but in 2 months' time, would you like to have a conversation? There's a way to make an invitation. I'm doing the 5 sales, right? First sale to yourself. Second sale is actually the invitation. Third sale is this thing called coaching. It's the proposal. Watch that video of mine called The Art of the Proposal. If you want a really powerful way to make proposals. That's where you sell this thing called coaching. This is how much it costs. This is what it looks like. Are you in? Yes or no? Here, give me a check. The fourth sale is when they go back home and they say to their wife or their husband, oh my God, this guy called Rich was amazing. It was powerful coaching. And the husband or wife says, well, tell me about it. What did he do? And they go, well, he asked me some questions. Okay, what else? No, that was it. Because what do we do, right? I'm going to sit with you. I'm going to talk to you. I'll ask you some questions and your life's going to transform. That's coaching. The fourth sale is giving your client a way to go back home to the people they love or their bank manager or their business partner so that they can sell this thing called coaching so their family, whoever it is, are in as much as they are. I saw you miss one, Jomar. I'll go back through him in a second. And the fifth sale is buyer's remorse. They've sent you the check, they're in, they've had 3 coaching sessions, and then they start to, you had this before, some of you, right? They get nervous, like, well, I'm not sure this is working. Should I stay here? Buyer's remorse. So 5 sales. Sale number 1, are you sold on this thing called coaching? Sale number 2, the invitation. Sale number 3, the proposal, the actual sale that most people think about. Sale number 4, how do you help your client actually sell this thing to their partner so their partner is in, business partner, bank manager, lover, whoever. And the 5th sale is buyer's remorse. We'll teach all that at the next intensive, so we'll dive a lot more into it. I haven't ever put that out online, but those are the 5 sales. We're just over time. Love you guys. This is so fun. If you want to do more of this, funnily enough, we planned it today on our Facebook page, the Prosperous Coach Facebook page. Get on there, and I'll be doing this afternoon. This afternoon, my time, LA, so it might be nighttime for some of you, but come and join us and play more. Give me a shout now. I'm seeing all the thank yous coming out. This is awesome. It's really fun to see you guys saying this. So thank you, thank you, thank you. That's awesome. Oh, great. You're sending me some energy. This is really, really nice. This is the kind of energy an extrovert can handle. This is really cool. So I really appreciate the thanks and the comments. I'm seeing them flash past me right now. Look, here's the thing about an introvert. You know you're an introvert if plans get canceled and you're secretly relieved. All right. I love you guys. I'll let Sarah finish the call. Thank you. I'll see you later. Bye for now. Yeah, thanks. This is awesome. I love all these. Bye, gang.